Hello everybody, this is Dr. Hoffman and this is video number 4. Last time we were discussing 5 of the major causes of death related to the mouth. And we went into the heart and why is the heart related to the mouth? Because the bacterium in the mouth, P. gingivalis, gets into the bloodstream and affects the heart. They've discovered that. They used to think it might be the liver, but now they realize it's the mouth. Likewise, you have diabetes and pancreatitis and pancreatic cancer. I put all 3 of those in one basket because they're all related to the pancreas. And likewise, bad bacterium can get in there and affect those. And then the third one is pneumonia. Pneumonia is very, very serious. The bacterium can be inhaled, especially in sedentary patients who are bedridden. That bolus of bacterium that it's like a colony, a microbiome colony, can be inhaled and cause serious problems. We saw what happened with COVID. And especially people with Alzheimer's and dementia, the nurses aren't properly cleaning their teeth. It's a difficult thing to do, right? And that's why some doctors go in there and extract all the teeth. But these bacterium, they're very bad for the lungs. And an acid environment allows them to multiply in large amounts. And that's why xylitol is important. It helps to decrease the acidity of the mouth. And we know that chewing gum, in essence, helps to break down those plaques, those colonies. So those are big studies done by the chewing gum manufacturers. But we're talking about chewing gum with xylitol in it. That's why it's so good. Likewise, number 4 is sleep apnea. Kills 37,000 people a year. And xylitol doesn't work that directly with sleep apnea, but it does decrease the sugar intake, the caloric intake. Usually the more calories you have, the more of that tissue you have in the back of your throat. Not always, but people that are overweight will tend to have sleep apnea. Likewise, inflammation in those areas. And xylitol does decrease that when used in a specific way, which I'll tell you later. But then the 4th one, which is really not the 5th one, which is not really the last one, because you'll see when I mention it how important this one is. It kills a lot of people every year. It's colon cancer. Colon cancer is deadly in many cases because people don't go in for the testing. Cologuard is a good way to test it, but colonoscopy is another way. A person should be tested periodically for colon cancer. But xylitol can help prevent it. And so it does it in 3 ways. Just like in the mouth, it increases fluid flow. Now, you don't have salivary glands in the large intestine, but you do have cells that are stimulated to produce fluids. Those fluids help to prevent the constipation. And likewise, the xylitol is converted to butyrate, which creates a slimy seal or a slimy lubricant for the colon that allows the fecal material not to touch or be in contact with the tissue as much. And then you have the bad bacterium. Remember, we discussed how that is controlled in the mouth and in the nasal sinuses and cavities. So it's important that the xylitol works in those areas. And there is even one more factor, and that is the yeast infections. Xylitol does help to control them. And so yeast is also related to colon cancer. And likewise in the esophagus. You can have yeast infections in the esophagus. And xylitol helps to diminish that some. But xylitol works in very powerful ways to protect your body, not only in the mouth and the head areas, but in every organ. You're getting protection. So this is why I'm doing these lessons or these discussions here. But I want to devote a little bit more time here to how xylitol can be used in a very unique way. You can mix it with saline solution and put it either in a little spray bottle or in a nasal squirt bottle. You can buy it under the label Xlear, X-L-E-A-R, and squirt it whenever you have that blockage in your sinus. Squirt it in each side of your nose, and you can feel it going up into the sinuses. And you can feel it working. Lie back after you squirt it so that it works way back in there. And it's very soothing. It won't hurt you. The xylitol is natural, like I said, natural to your cells. It's not going to create any burning. All these synthetic squirts have warned you about burning sensation. Xylitol doesn't do that. Xylitol, even though it's a sugar, the FDA says it's sugar-free. You can buy a bag of xylitol and the FDA will allow the retailer to label it sugar-free. That's right, it's crazy. Because it does so many good things, it is not considered a sugar by the FDA. That right there ought to tell you something. It's so significant. But like I said, when you mix it with saline solution, like they do, they put a little eucalyptus oil and maybe tea tree oil and oregano oil, and you squirt it up into your nasal area. It acts as an emollient and as an antibacterial agent, and also it flushes everything away. Now you can also do the little spray gun. I make my own little spray gun. But remember, I mentioned that a salesman came by and sold me a bunch of these little spray bottles. Well, I use those. I make my own now with xylitol and saline solution. I just squirt it back there in the back of my throat. And all that tissue back there where you tend to get plaques of strep, it knocks it out. But remember, you can form plaques of strep on the other side of the uvula and in other areas that spray can't get to. That's why the nasal squirt is good, because it goes into the sinuses, and when you lie back, it all flows down and it gets into those areas that you couldn't reach. So it knocks out and protects you, and you get a soothing sleep. So that is the dynamic of how xylitol works superficially. And remember, I already discussed with you how it works internally in the mitochondria, and how it can also work in the colon and these other areas where the bloodstream is reaching all the organs and helping decrease the amount of calorie intake, because xylitol has 30% less calorie than sucrose does. It has it's not as sweet, but it still adds sweetness. And that's another good thing about xylitol. The FDA allows it to be used as baking because it's a symmetrical sugar. It actually works well in baking and in preserving foods, whereas you can't do that with stevia. So you can tell that this molecule, this very special molecule, is unique because it can be used in many different ways. And it works to protect you from disease, from chronic illnesses. So you can always contact me at my website, which is dentistryexposed.com. And you can also find it on Facebook, Dentistry Exposed. Thank you, and God bless.